Hello everybody, it's Peter Bird here from Optimal Nutritional Excellence. Just a relatively quick check-in. Today I want to talk about sleep. We all have to do it. Bottom line is that we are designed to sleep at night, be awake during the day. We're actually not like possums, or cats that wander around at night and sleep all day. It's not, as animals, what we're designed to do from a physiological, neurological, biological perspective. Sleep is one of those things that there's been a huge amount of study done in the area of sleep. What we found is that if you don't get enough, you go mad. If you don't get enough over a long period of time, your health outcomes are very poor. Heart disease, diabetes, all those types of diseases. What I mean by go mad, we know from studying groups like the Army, for example, where experiments have been done on sleep deprivation. After 48 hours of no sleep, then there's people are starting to hallucinate. And from an operational perspective, from a ability to be able to be operating at a safe level, you're operating at around about the same level as you would if you're over the kind of legal blood alcohol limit. There is that impairment with lack of sleep. As our lives get busier, as we come under increasing amount of pressure from our work, from our social life, coming into summertime when we have more daylight later in the evening, then the tendency is to cut in on sleep time. It's one thing that tends to be sacrificed is our sleep. And as we do that, then what happens is that can have a flow-on effect to how we are during the day, insofar as how we're operating. Are we fully engaged? Do we wake up in the morning with energy and get out of bed and look forward to the day and have that consistent energy for the day? So, and also, unlike vehicles, the human being doesn't have gauges. So you can't look at the gauge and go, look, we're low on sleep. We are getting fatigued. We are needing to have more rest. We have to rely on cues. And we often are not particularly good at doing that. What I mean by that is that when we start feeling tired, that can be misinterpreted as hunger. As we get tired, we can start feeling a bit irritable, and that we can project that out onto the world and blame people around us for the way they're acting or not acting, or how they're not treating us or not treating us. Where in fact, what is happening is because we're tired, we're not operating at our best. We're not interacting with people at our best, and we become increasingly intolerant. I know I work with, in my professional business, transport agencies. I work with people that drive heavy trucks for a living and who do very long hours, up 70 odd hours a week. And quite often what we come across, the first thing I'll notice when I'm working with these guys, this group of people, is that often you're dealing with irritability. You're just dealing with someone that hasn't got that tolerance, And under the surface, you'll find that the bottom line to that is fatigue. Now, that brings an interesting point, or raises an interesting point. What's the difference between fatigue and tiredness? Is there a difference between fatigue and tiredness? Well, yes, there is. Tiredness generally will be corrected by a good night's sleep or a restful couple of days. Fatigue is like the bucket overflowing. Tiredness is the drip going into the bucket. Fatigue is when the bucket's overflowing. Fatigue won't be corrected by a couple of nights good sleep or a weekend off. What fatigue requires is a reflection and an analysis on your life. It will require an in-depth look at your activities and maybe your work and your relationships and your lifestyle. And as you know, I talk a lot about your nutrition. The reason I'm talking about sleep today is that rather than nutrition, is that nutrition is the main player in health. And then the next significant area is sleep. And then there's exercise and social engagement and risky substances and good oral health and all those types of things too. But nutrition and then sleep, and that's why we're talking about sleep today, because it's the next biggest component to health. So fatigue requires a reflection on your life, and generally you'll tend to find that it starts off with tiredness. It then leads on if you go into what we call sleep debt. Now, sleep debt is very similar to credit card debt in relation to that you're using more than you've got. What I mean by that is that we all require a certain amount of sleep per night, and we know that that's generally between sort of 6 and 8 hours of restorative sleep. What happens is that as we cut in on that, so perhaps we require 8 hours of sleep a night for optimum functioning. On a regular basis, we're now getting 7. So by the end of the week, so if we have 7 days of 6 hours a week, by the end of the week, we are 7 hours into sleep debt. So the body needs to recoup that. And if we don't do that and we carry that into the next week, then we become increasingly in debt. And that's where that's how fatigue sets in. That's how we establish fatigue. And then what happens, it has a cascade effect. As we become fatigued, we tend to get drawn to the high energy, low nutrient foods and drinks. So the coffees and the caffeines and the sugary drinks and the ultra processed foods. So your high sugar, those sweet sort of foods that give the body a burst to get you through. And so we have this compounding effect of having a poor diet that's high in energy and low in nutrients. So generally your ultra processed type foods, and then drawn perhaps towards the caffeinated drinks as well that kind of boost you along. So you're limping along, and people can do that for decades, can live like that for decades, and it just becomes the normal kind of way of living. That is disease promoting because you're eating a poor diet, your body's under stress, and you're doing that for a long period of time. It's not so important what you do now and again. It's most important what you do every day. If you are living a life that's not conducive to health by sacrificing your sleep, then you're going to find that will have a compounding effect into having a negative effect on your health and also your relationships too. It's very difficult to maintain good relationships when you're a grumpy old bugger. When you're sleep deprived and you're suffering from fatigue. And often that's not something that's recognised. It's not something that you can look in the mirror and go, I am fatigued. So if you're not feeling at your optimum, start with your kitchen, start getting your nutrition right. Now, you've heard me talk about that before many, many times. If you haven't, then go back and look at some of my vlogs. I talk about the nutrition or taking control of your kitchen. If your nutrition's right, if you're doing the very best that you can in that area, then focus on your sleep and guard your sleep. It's really important to take responsibility for your bedroom. Take charge of your kitchen. I'm saying now, take control of your bedroom, take control of your sleep environment. If you're someone that is having disruptions in your sleep because of external things, it might be that that the phone goes, or that you're living in a household with young children. It might be that you work shift work and that you have noisy neighbours that mow their lawn in the mid-morning, not allowing you to get your rest. If there are things that you can do to mitigate or to improve your sleep environment, do that. The ideal sleep environment is around about 19 degrees Celsius, so it's a bit on the cooler side. We sleep better when we're cool. We sleep best when we have no light. So light sends a message to the brain and releases hormones that are wakeful. We don't want to be doing that if you're wanting to get to sleep. So make sure that your sleep environment is dark and it's cool. Being mindful as you lead up to the sleep time that you're not having any amount of stimulation in regards to the likes of your mobile devices, and get social media stuff or TV or etc., or your caffeinated drinks, or having any amount of food prior to about 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours prior to retiring for bed as well. So it's really been mindful of and taking charge of and being responsible for your sleep environment, as it is when I talk about taking control and being responsible for your kitchen. What happens is, as we lose sleep, as we go into sleep debt, as I explained earlier on, we get the stress response. So the stress chemicals get released, and they are anti-sleep. Even when we want to go to bed earlier, or we want to have good sleep, or we allow enough time and take control of our sleep environment, enough time to have that sort of 6 to 8 hours, and we take control of our sleep environment, we find that we're not able to settle. It's really important to look at all the components, the food that you're eating, the drinks that you're drinking, the sleep environment you've got. Make those changes, and then what will happen is you'll start creating good habits, and your body will follow, your brain will follow. But if it's fatigue we're dealing with, then it's going to need more than just a couple of good nights sleep, or even a few days good night's sleep. What it's going to require is a lifestyle change. It's going to require you to take responsibility and control of your life. Look around at the aspects that aren't working for you well. It might be the long hours you're working. It could be poor relationships. It could be that you're drinking too much, or that you're having too much coffee, or that you're sedentary, or that there could be any number of things. But generally what will be the core of it will be what the majority of what you're doing in a day. It'll to do with your work environment. Often it may also be to do with some health issues that haven't been addressed. You may have undiagnosed sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is a medical condition that when this part of the throat, when you lie back to sleep, it falls back into the area where you breathe through, and people stop breathing and wake, can stop breathing and wake, and that can happen dozens and dozens and dozens of times an hour. If you're waking up really tired, you feel like you've done sort of a couple of rounds with Mike Tyson in the morning, then get a sleep test done. And these days you can do a Google search, and you can get hold of a sleep clinic, and they can send you a device that you strap on, measures the amount of sleep, and then they'll send you a report, and you can go from there. So there are things that you can do. My overall point is that it's important to take personal responsibility for your health. That includes your nutrition. That includes your sleep. The next thing that I'll talk about on another vlog we'll talk about exercise and the impact of exercise on health. So just to wrap it up, 2 sort of situations you may find yourself in. One is what we call tiredness. That's that corrected with a couple of good nights sleep. Generally, if you have missed out on sleep and you've worked long hours, or for whatever reason your sleep's been disrupted, the first night is going to be your kind of restorative physical sleep, and the second night will be more your emotional, mental kind of dream state sleep. And then after those 2 nights of restorative sleep, you'll notice you'll feel a lot better. If it's fatigue, then it's a lifestyle issue. The bucket's overflowing, and that requires lifestyle change. That requires you taking responsibility for your life and making the changes that need to be made. So really nice to talk to you today. Hopefully that's been useful. If you are watching this vlog and you're enjoying what you're watching, then please recommend me to your friends, your family, your colleagues, and like and subscribe. So we'll catch you again soon. Have a great day. Really nice to see you. Everybody, Peter Bird here from Optimal Nutritional Excellence. Thanks for watching that vlog. If you can like and subscribe, that'd be great. That just keeps that message getting out there and allows the algorithm to attract new people to my site. Okay, have a good day. See ya. Bye.